In the case of failure, his individual portion is the gallows. Uncertainty of neighbours, both close and distant, was all too apparent in 1820. The disturbances that spring, though, were deeply rooted in their local communities. Though the mindset of Britain's would-be insurgents was moulded by their acquaintance with the arguments of Carlyle, Cobbett or Hunt, it required a distinctive combination of local factors to catalyse real commitment. Scarcity and want were not enough, nor was anger at the exploitative nature of wage labour. Had they been, more men like the Burnley weaver William Varley would have taken up arms. On the 7th of April, Varley wrote in his diary, "The country is all on uproar. Some say that Huddersfield Castle is pulled down. There is great disturbance in Scotland and Spain. And well there may be, because there is no trade to be had. The poor man may now go to despair indeed, for it appears very plain we must have no better days, unless they be got by compulsion." An established radical tradition was certainly one ingredient that helped mobilise communities. Known Luddite Tempest Tiffany, a cropper from Rastrick, was one of the delegates at a final planning meeting for the Good Friday Rising. At least 3 who'd taken a prominent part in Luddism were among those who made their way to Grange Moor. The first historian of Yorkshire Luddism, Frank Peel, concluded the first edition of his book with Grange Moor in a chapter headed "The Last Struggles of Luddism," and it's conceivable that this is how some of those marchers conceived it, especially the weavers who joined the Barnsley men as they marched north. But I want to guard against, as it were, adopting an elegiac tone here. I think we need to think about 1820 not just in the question of looking back to 1811, not just to 1811, 1812, not just in terms of thinking of it as a failure, which it obviously manifestly was, but also as a further episode in, if you like, the hardening of occupational solidarities that would also help us to explain the astonishing mobilisation of this region in support of Chartism a generation later. Not just textile centres, but specifically communities specialising in weaving are prominent in the narrative of events around Easter 1820. Barnsley, the various satellite communities of Huddersfield, and in Scotland, Paisley and Strathen. Weaving, of course, had yet to be mechanised. It was a domestic industry where workers had considerable discretion and control over the process of production, and a strong sense also of a lost golden age before the French wars. The mobility of weavers at a time of diminishing employment may also have helped to generate a broader political awareness, and certainly helped to establish cross-regional networks. There were large numbers of Lancastrians in the weaving industry of West Yorkshire, and many Irish-born workers in both counties. To sum up then, I really wanted to make, if I may, two concluding points. The first is that, as Wellington might have said of 1820, as he did of a previous occasion, it was a damn close run thing. It's between the Huddersfield Rising and the Grange Moor Rising that the government decides to call out the militia. It spent more on the militia in 1820 than at any other peacetime year in 19th century Britain, until the militia was finally abolished in 1887. It was forced to reverse its programme of cuts, the peace dividend, to the armed forces. It didn't just stop the reductions, it had to reverse them. It started recruiting again. And I want therefore to conclude with Wellington, arguing the case for reversing defence cuts. If the schemes stated to be in agitation, of which we have so many accounts that we cannot doubt their truth, should be put in execution, what is to become of us if we have not a force in reserve upon which we can rely? If anything serious happens anywhere in any part of the world, the whole force, the army, is so already completely employed that the commander-in-chief has not a single regiment of either cavalry or infantry at his disposal, without withdrawing it from service on which it is at present employed. So, in summary then, I think a close examination of the records of the government, particularly not its official records, but its thinking out loud, its musing in family papers, the confidential script which is sent to Dublin Castle, which is suffused with information about events in Britain, reveal that the government was considerably more discomforted and alarmed by events in West Yorkshire and across the north and in Scotland more broadly in Easter 1820 than we've hitherto supposed. Thanks.